About yourself. Hi, my name is Brittany Brown. I'm in my second year at Temple University. I am an international business major with a minor in Spanish at Fox. Grew up in Montgomery County, about 45 minutes outside of the city in the suburbs, and I'm really close with my family. I have two younger siblings. I have a sister who is only 15 months younger than me, and then I have a brother who is 11 years younger than I am, so I would say that having a hand in him growing up was probably my first big leadership role. When he was born, I really played the part of my mom's little helper, and she would teach me all about what went into raising him. So I took what I learned with my little brother and applied it to babysitting jobs around my neighborhood and in my town. So I really built a lot of good relationships and trust with the families that I worked with. And I did that until I got a job, until I could get a job at 14 when I could get my working permit. And I went across the street to a McDonald's inside of a Walmart, and I applied there, and that was my very first job. And it was a little bit scary and a little bit of a shell shock for me, but I think it was a really good learning experience because it was my first time dealing with customers and really trying to make them happy and understanding what that meant. So I worked there, I would walk there after school to my shifts, and I was employed until they moved location. So unfortunately, I lost my job, but I knew that I didn't want to be without another job for long because I really enjoyed having that responsibility. So as soon as possible, really, I went next door to the Walmart to the Giant Food Stores, which is a grocery store, and I applied and fortunately got the job there as well. And I started out only cleaning because I was so young. They have age limits to what each position can do. So I started out just cleaning different departments, and then finally I was a bagger and was trained to do that, and then finally I became a cashier, which I still am today between on certain weekends and breaks from school. So I really enjoyed working there and kind of climbing the ladder of the company because it taught me a lot about especially customer service, because that is probably the most important thing that goes into a job like any retail, and also having a really strong work ethic, because my managers really pay attention to that and they make sure that those people who work hard are the ones who get the promotions and get the higher positions. So I've really become a fan of climbing the ladder, so to speak. Tell me about a significant accomplishment in your life. One of the biggest things I've accomplished that I look back on so fondly is a website that I had with my friends in high school, and it was fairly successful. It was a website called holdinguparts.com, and it was a website for band photography and interviews, as well as concerts that we put on ourselves for the charity Invisible Children. So I was doing this when I was in high school, and I had taken a journalism class, and I was actually editor of my school newspaper, of the special section, which was almost like its own newspaper in itself. So I had some journalism background, and me and my friends from the class started this website because we were really into music, and we loved music so much, and coming to Philly and seeing shows, and we thought, why not make something out of this? Why not really do something with all of this time and this scene that we are now part of? So we bought a domain and the name, and we owned it, and it was ours to do with what we wanted. So we thought we would take pictures at the shows, so that entailed getting a photo pass, as well as when interviewing bands you need a press pass. So the biggest part was probably how young I was when I was doing this, because this is people's actual jobs, being a photographer and a journalist is someone's actual job. So doing it when I was, 15, 16 was really, it was a challenge. Mostly was because we had to fit into the culture. We had to make sure that we meshed well with the other people who were doing what we were doing, and we had to be professional. We had to get past the stereotype of fans and teenage girls, especially because we weren't taken seriously. So when we finally rose above that and we were able to make relationships with publicists and managers of bands and even venues, we started to be contacted by managers and labels who wanted to get publicity for their bands, and they would give us free albums and free tickets to shows and entry, and we were really able to spread our name and get our name out there and make ourselves into something more that was expected of a few teenage girls. Tell me about something you learned from the class. I learned a lot from this class, but I think the biggest thing that I'll take with me is values, vision, and mission of a company, mainly because I know I've done these things before in my previous endeavors as a leader, but I maybe didn't know the name for them or subconsciously did them. Like, for example, with my website, our values were 100% keeping it for the fans of these artists. That's the name, where the name comes from, Holding Up Hearts, because we believed that the fans held up the hearts of the artists and supported them, and that is why the musicians are where they are, and they owe everything to their fans. So we really wanted to keep our content for those people and everything that we did. So I even had a mission statement on the front page, which I didn't really know was then, but I realize it was now, that said like what we are, what we stood for, what we were aiming to do. So we had a lot of things that contributed to the values and vision and mission that I didn't know then that I know now, and that I can incorporate later in my career. Another thing that really is important to me that I learned was, for example, the Zappos company culture, which was really interesting to see, because my biggest fear is being with a company that I don't exactly fit into. My goal is to be in a family type business, and seeing the Zappos company culture was so eye-opening and made me excited for my future, because I know there are companies out there that make sure and take pride in their culture and pick people and choose their employees not only on their resume, though it is very important, but also their chances of being a part of the team and being a part of that family situation, and that was really exciting to learn about.